unemployed, I was starting to slouch. I was sleeping in the basement on my mama's new couch. That's when I heard it all, a chance to skirt it all. A money like my last girl, completely virtual. Got the top graphic cards, got a power supply, a microprocessor, a motherboard, a tower and drive. I put the RAM in the RAM slot drive in the larger bay. Topped it off 2 fans, like a Chargers game. Price spiked to 30, I missed out, I fear. Crudely assemble a rig like a BP engineer. My friends and family smile and smirking or make fun of me, but I'ma make them eat their words because I'm gonna be a Bitcoin billionaire. Spending money like I don't care. Flash drives in the underwear. Now that I'm a Bitcoin billionaire. The cash was never ending, yo, I'm scaling fun and rowdy. I was spending like a 7 on a scale from 1 to Saudi. Call it mad banking. All night and all weekend, my rig is out franking. Grabs what it can while you sleeping. Just try outspending me, and you'll see I'm on a mission. Drop more Satoshis than a clumsy Japanese obstetrician. I ain't open to splits, don't care if it's best or not. Opposing forks like a Chinese restaurant. I went from geek to chic, from basic to ASIC. I went from basement squatting to yachting, from basin to basin. Went from no friends and depression to peer-to-peer legend. More contrasting language to establish the impression I'm a Bitcoin billionaire. Spending money like I don't care. Then one day there was a solar flare. I was a Bitcoin billionaire. Spending money like I don't care. Now I just pawn my underwear. Used to be a Bitcoin billionaire. Any change that you can spare? I'd settle for a Dogecoin. I'm so desperate.
And we are live. Good evening, everyone from the UK. It is Brian, the UK Bitcoin Master, back as always every Monday with my UK Bitcoin Master live show. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to every one of you that have tuned in. Don't forget to pound that like button, people. Really, really important. Today is the 23rd of August, 2021. And yeah, it's great to be with you all. Just a footnote, and I'll mention this at the end of the show again. There may not be a show on Thursday. I've been waiting 8 months for a procedure, which I'm having on Friday, but it all starts on Thursday. So unless I do a premiere, there will not be a show on Thursday. But if I can manage to squeeze a short one in with a premiere, then I'll certainly try. But if there isn't one, you have been warned, people. If you're brand new to my channel, important, check out this disclaimer. No financial advice here. No charts, no technical analysis. I am just a UK Bitcoin master who's invested in Bitcoin and wants to go live twice a week and try and help others build their strong Bitcoin hand. Do your own research. If you are new to the channel, check me out at ukbitcoinmaster.com. That is where you'll find every video I've done to date. And bitcoininterviews.com is where you'll find all the interviews that I've done today, including last Thursday's with Anders, aka Danish from the Toxic Happy Hour. That was a fantastic interview. I've had loads of people drop me messages saying what an incredible interview it was. So if you have not seen Thursday's show with Anders or Danish, you need to go and watch it. I don't even care if you leave my live show right now and go and watch it. It was superb. He is very, very bullish on Bitcoin. So do check that out. And finally, anybody wanting to drop a lightning tip, and you don't have to, by the way, go to tippin.me at UK Bitcoin Master. Now, what is that? That is a tippin.me address where you can drop some Satoshis. But I've realized recently, thanks to somebody that dropped me some sats, if you're using the Moon wallet, MUUN, you cannot scan the QR code on tippin.me and send a tip. It needs an amount. Having said that, you should all have Wallet of Satoshi on your phones. That is a superb Lightning wallet, and that one is superb for sending a tip through Lightning. Now, like I've said, you don't have to, but why would you? Because Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a done deal. It ain't going anywhere. It's going to change the world. It's going to take decades. But now we're starting to focus on layer 2 solutions. And Lightning, a payment rail on top of Bitcoin that allows you to move Satoshis around for pretty well anonymously and almost pretty well free of charge, or zero fees, 1 sat, 5 sats, doesn't even come to a penny, is absolutely incredible. So I'm encouraging you all, go over to tipping.me at UK Bitcoin Master, find that QR code, get Wallet of Satoshi on your phone, and just practice sending a few Satoshis. 10 Satoshis, you're not sending even a single penny to me, you're just sending 10 sats. You know, if you want to donate 1,000, like 30 pence, 30 cents, that's up to you. But I'm saying it is a great way for you to practice using Lightning. And I love it now. I'm constantly moving funds around via the Lightning network, and I absolutely love it. So before we get into the show, let's do a quick shout out to some of the regulars that are in the chat, from Dave Shackelford coming in from Phoenix, Arizona. We got Yorkie Bitcoiner in the house from the UK. Johnny Midas from Malibu. Not envious at all, John. Really been cold here today. Excuse me. Matty3623 parked up in your lorry. Been there and done that, Matty, many times, but welcome to the show. Great to know that you're tuned in from your truck. My lovely wife, Elaine, Mrs. UK, is in the house. Shout out to Elaine. Who else? I've seen Wilco Delamar. Good to see you again, Wilco. We've got John M. John M, welcome to the show. Who's on? I'm on. UK Bitcoin Master. Go and tell everyone. Dan Suffolk Bitcoiner. He says, hello, Brian, UK Bitcoin Master, pounded. Ian Stewart's house, also, evening all. Welcome to you. If anybody wants to get my attention, type in UK Bitcoin Master. It will light up in orange, and I can then scan down and see what you are saying. I think that, Alexis Menard. Alexis, welcome to you. Listen, great to have you all in the house. You guys are my supporters. You champion my channel, and I thank you. But I want you to start thinking of networking. Put this channel out to 5 people you know and say, check this crazy Brit out. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will. And with 15, 20 people that are regulars on my show, we might get another 100 join the show if each of you do that. Now, I know we all lead busy lives, and I know sometimes we forget to do that. But our Bitcoin space, in terms of the world, is a very tiny space. And the more people that find these channels, the more people won't go down the poop coin route, or we'll do our best to help them not to go down the crap coin route. Okay, so I want you to tweet this out, share it out, pick up the link and send it to some of your friends that are not in Bitcoin, so that A, we can grow the channel, and B, we can get more eyeballs on the channel, and that is so important. So that said, let's get on with the show. Let's see what we've got going on. The first thing to look at, as always, is the price. And yeah, somebody said happy 50k day, I believe, but it's been 50k just over most of the day, UK time, and it's now just under at 49.7. But I'm not interested in the price. I'm interested on what's going on with Bitcoin, its adoption curve. I'm interested in, the tech that's being developed at breakneck speed behind it. Short-term price does not bother me, but I am very mindful that there are people that come into Bitcoin that they buy a little bit and they constantly sit on their phone app or their computer every day and they're checking the price and their little investment's gone up a few hundred or down a few hundred, etc. But here's what I want you to focus on if you're new or if you're finding this in the future. Do not focus on this 1 day chart, because if you do, you will see this coming down here all the way down and think, what the hell's going on? If you look at nothing less than a year, even with our 50% correction back up here, where we went down and down and down, we are still now coming back again. If you look at the 5-year chart, looks even better. For those of you that weren't around in 2017, I was. And what you see here is the bull run of 2017, where it got just shy of 20k. And now with today's bull run, including the 50% full pullback, including the recovery back to 50k right now, we are still well up on the 2017 bull run. But let me, before we move on, show you one more, which is the all-time chart, and you'll see this tiny little bump in the road here. That was the 2013 bull run. So when we're in the 2024-2025 bull run, this one, the 17, will look like this one. The one we're in right now up here will look like this one, and it's all relative to time. So time is your friend in Bitcoin if you can learn patience, if you can, in the words of Bitcoin Meister, learn delayed gratification, have a low time preference, i.e. learn to save again and put a bit by for a rainy day, as they say, and go through the 4-year cycles. And if you do that, I'm telling you, you'll experience all the emotions that Bitcoin will put you through, and it will stand you in really good stead to hold and build your Satoshis, build your Bitcoin pot up over time with whatever you can afford to put into it. Dan Suffolk Bitcoiner, I hear you are now using Kraken to buy Bitcoin. Is it easy to transfer to a Trezor from their app? Haven't moved any yet. I tend to do 4 or 5 months of my DCAing, and then when there's a decent lump, because of I don't want loads and loads and loads of UTXOs, if you like, Dan, I then put a big lump across. So I've only just started using it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get on with Kraken's interface anywhere near as good as I get on with Coinbase's. Now, Coinbase is a dirty word in the Bitcoin space, but you know what? I'll say one thing, their interface is great to use, it's streamlined, it's easy. I can't get my head around it on my phone, even though I've bought Bitcoin on it. I will get my head around it, but I'm telling you, they need to deal with that and make it as impressive, if I can say that, as the Coinbase interface, which has been my go-to exchange for 3 odd years now. I used to use local Bitcoins when I bought large chunks of Bitcoin back in the early days when I got in, and it was just over 2,000 a coin. So Dan, I hope that answers your question. I am using it. I am going to get used to it, but it's pretty darn frustrating for me, if I'm totally truthful. Okay, so let's get on with the show, and I've got a video I'm going to run. Now, what I've put in my... Whoops, where's my cursor just gone? What I've put in my cursor's just gone, and I think you might have... Oh, we got it back. Okay, weird things happen. In my show notes, or the notes on the show, look, I'm not an expert. I don't profess to be an expert. I'm a regular guy, okay? And I bring the news to you that I can, and useful information that I can, to help those noobs and intermediates build or improve their strong Bitcoin hand. But, you know, when you're in the Bitcoin rabbit hole, what you need to do is learn from those that have gone before, those that are educated in the space, those that really know their stuff. And the first video that I'm going to run is an interview done by Peter McCormack with, I can never say this, but Nut Svanholm from Sweden. And this guy clearly knows his stuff. And he uses terminology or words like Metcalfes Law, exponential growth, S-curve adoption in the first part of this video. So I can see that a few of you have typed in UK Bitcoin Master. In fact, let me do that now before we get over to the video. So Yorkie Bitcoin has said, we need strike. We definitely need strike, Yorkie. We all need to bang the drum of Jack Mallers, because BTC Sessions, at the end of his show now, he puts his strike app up, and you can just scan that and just send any amount of sats you want, and it's absolutely superb. So we need to get on to Jack Mallers. He needs to come to the UK and Europe, Jack. So if you're watching this, Jack Mellors, which I'm sure you won't be, come on, let's get Strike in the UK. That would be awesome. Dave Shackelford said, Strike allows to buy and send direct to heart. Yeah, no, absolutely it does, Dave. And Dan said, thank you. I actually opened a Kraken account and didn't like using compared to Coinbase. I know I need to get away from Coinbase too, but too busy to find a good new place to buy. CoinFloor in the UK, I think that's the longest serving exchange in the UK. They're pretty good. I'm actually trying to get their CEO on my show, but he's ignoring my DMs. But maybe I will get him. But check out CoinFloor as well. The only thing with CoinFloor is you've got to put a certain threshold in to dollar cost average. And I like to DCA when I'm paid, but I've been watching the charts because I've been 4 years in the rabbit hole, and I tend to, it might be a few days either side of payday where I look at the candles and then jump in. Now, I teach people you shouldn't ever do that, and you shouldn't, but for me, it's just a game, and I've got my bulk of my Bitcoin. It is literally topping up each payday. So back to what you've just said, Dan, before we go to Nuts Van Holm's video. Really and truly, people can scoff and scorn at Bitcoin, at Coinbase and, Brian Armstrong and everything they do. And I agree with them. But for me, I'm a regular dude and I want the easiest on and off. And if it's an extra percentage, I've got to give them at this time, I'm not adverse to that. And if I can't get my head around Kraken, I'm telling you, I'll just go back and start using Coinbase again, because I can do the whole 9 yards, transfer the money from my bank into Coinbase, buy my Bitcoin on Coinbase, and then move it from Coinbase to Trezor in under 2-3 minutes tops. It's so streamlined, and that's all I want with the busy life that we lead. So I'll give Kraken a fair crack, excuse the pun, and then we'll see where it goes. Okay, I need to move on. So I'm going to run this short video from Nut. It's in 2 parts, but I'll stop it and we'll briefly talk about it. So let's get over there right now. Hopefully it won't let me down. This first part is about 2 minutes and 32 seconds. So here we go, people.
When it comes to network technologies, there's something called Metcalfes Law. I'm sure you're aware of this, but it's like the value of the network is equal to the square of the number of users the network has. Which means that if you have one telephone and if 2 people have one telephone each, they have 1 person to call. If 3 people have a telephone each, they each have 2 people to call, and so on and so forth. So it gets exponentially better the bigger the value of the network grows exponentially as the network grows bigger. And what this tends to do with successful network technologies is that they have an S-shaped adoption curve, which means that it starts slowly, but as all exponentials do, there's a point where there's a catch-up effect where it all happens suddenly because it doubles every day. And the end point is when everyone on Earth is onboarded to the technology. And this happened to radio and telephones and Google and Facebook and the internet, and all the network technologies that were successful happened this way. And like nowadays, everyone has a smartphone, everyone has some form of social media accounts, everyone has access to email. All of these things grew exponentially and then leveled out at the end. And I believe Bitcoin is in the middle of this, somewhere along. I don't know how many users, how high a percentage of the world's population that use Bitcoin at the moment. I think it's something around 0.05% or something. Okay,
briefly, follow him. Over 25,000 followers. That's someone worth following. I just thought I'd mention that.
I haven't heard a figure in a while, but this figure doubles at certain intervals, which means that sooner or later everyone will use Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form. And but that is the adoption of the technology. But the price curve is another thing, because that.
Do you hear that? I've been saying this on my show. The price curve is completely different to the adoption and the tech going on behind Bitcoin. I sort of use the phrase price is a liar. I think what I mean by that is don't be fooled by the day-to-day price swings. Understand that what's going on behind the scenes in Bitcoin is absolutely monstrous. There is so much innovation going on behind the scenes. Eventually, price is going to catch up.
Follows another pattern. Because when everyone on Earth has Bitcoin, there's really no reason for them to stop putting money into Bitcoin. And if people keep on dollar cost averaging in all of this, that means that all the monetary energy that gets produced over time, that gets funneled into Bitcoin, the economy grows larger and larger until it eats everything.
Did you hear that?
The world will get weird.
It eats everything. Did you hear that, people? That is what is, in my opinion, going to happen over time. Now, it is not going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year when everybody wants the price to moon so they can go buy their Lambo. That's not what this is about. When you consider Bitcoin is 12 years old, okay, we've got gold is 5,000 years old. We've got fiat currencies going back hundreds and thousands of years. So therefore, what are you expecting in just a short 12-year period? This, what Nut was just referring to, in my opinion, is going to play out over decades and maybe even 100 years. Remember, I think it's 2032. I believe 99% of all the Bitcoin that's ever going to be is then out there. It is going to take over 100 years for the final 1% of Bitcoin to be mined. You start to think of the supply squeezes that happen when there's a fraction of 1%, fraction of one Bitcoin being produced a day because it's being cut in half and cut in half and cut in half. Then more and more people are hearing about it, wanting to get involved in it. That is demand. There isn't any supply to fuel the demand. And then Bitcoin has to go up in price. Nut also said something interesting there about even when all the Bitcoin's out there, you know, and all the world's got it, keep dollar cost averaging. If you're new and you're thinking, well, how can you do that if all the Bitcoin's out there and it's been, you know, being hodled? No, it won't. Every one of us has got an exit somewhere where we will take some of our Bitcoin off the table. For example, if you bought Bitcoin, I don't know, at, you know, $20, $100, and it hits 60,000, you know, and you got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoins and you happen to keep them, maybe you're going to take some of those off the table and go and buy a £15 million house somewhere. Maybe that's what you want to do. Yeah. So there's always going to be liquidity in the market because there's always someone that got in before you did that wants to take some off the table, or maybe even put it into an institution where they leverage it and they pay you interest on it. So there's always going to be, you know, Bitcoin out there, so to speak. And as they sell it, you know, people will be mopping it up. But you see, people will be buying Bitcoin when it's $500,000. People will still be looking to buy it because they'll start to understand this supply and demand issue. 8 billion people on the planet, and there certainly is not enough Bitcoin to go round without, you know, Bitcoin being tens of millions per coin. Ultimately, perhaps when I'm looking at the grass from the other side. Let's do part 2 of Nut's video.
And weirder anyway. And and without Bitcoin, we wouldn't have a transition. We would just have a crash. And then there would be losers and nothing else. Because the crash is coming regardless of whether Bitcoin exists or not. Every fiat currency is hyperinflating, just at different rates. So we will all become Lebanon or Venezuela at some point in time. It's just a matter of time. Because you can't keep the current machine working without an ever-growing GDP, and that means you need more and more currency every year, and we're all on the same path. All fiat currencies have a limited lifetime. They die at some point. Those people who hold Bitcoin, in Bitcoin, there will be winners and winners.
I'll say that again. Follow him, 25,000 followers. The guy knows his stuff.
And no losers. As long as you hold Bitcoin, you will not be a loser.
5 years.
You might, for 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. He snuck that one in there, didn't he? I think that's right. As long as you hold Bitcoin, you won't be a loser. If you buy Bitcoin at 50k and then it goes back down for some reason and you sell it at 30k, you're definitely a loser. But if you buy Bitcoin and it goes down to 30k and you hold it and then it goes back up to 150k, you're not a loser. You're only a loser. Loser if you actually sell it just because the short-term thinking, the price goes down and you think, oh my goodness, it's all starting to fall to bits.
You might lose your fiat in the process, but this goes back to the Willy Woo statistic there about the number of small holders and people with less than 1 Bitcoin, people with less than 10 Bitcoin. Those numbers are growing. So it is, when you say wealth gaps and all of these things that usually start pitchfork riots, that is actually, Bitcoin is distributing wealth across to poor people. It is working. It is doing exactly what the central bank says it does, but it's working.
And that's what I love about it. It is redistributing wealth to regular people. Did you hear what he said about the wallets? More and more, what do you call them? Shrimps. They're people that have got less than 1 Bitcoin are now buying Bitcoin and holding it in their wallets long term. The amount of whales holding Bitcoin apparently is starting to shift and it's moving towards regular people like us. That I couldn't wish for anything more than that, if I'm totally truthful. I just want so many regular people that have felt the squeeze for decades and struggled all their life to go to work, pay their bills, bring their kids up, and they've never had spare money to invest or to see the world a little bit. I want that shift to happen, and he's talking about it there.
By doing the exact opposite of what the central bank is doing. If the more expensive the money is to produce, the cheaper the prices of everything else in comparison to that type of money, and vice versa. So the cheaper the money is to produce, the more expensive everything else gets. And that's what we're living in now. And everyone has a harder and harder time because money gets devalued all the time. With Bitcoin, it's the exact opposite. As long as you have any Bitcoin, your purchasing power will go up over time. So it's the only way to have a transition at all. Without Bitcoin, we would just have darkness, civil wars, and nothing hopeful to look forward to. Now there's actually something really hopeful to look forward to. I don't know what the transition looks like. What I do know is that it's much harder for people to take people's wealth by force if they have Bitcoin. It's much harder to force people to do stuff they don't want to do if they're Bitcoiners. If Bitcoin, in a world that Bitcoin exists, violence gets more expensive. So I try to be an optimist. How can you stop people from agreeing on a fair set of rules that everyone agrees on are fair? You can't stop an idea. You can't stop an idea whose time has come. And this is it. So I believe in a very bright future because of the elimination of violence from the equation. And I think it might be a lot better than people think, because people tend to have that's true for all times. People see new inventions and transitions to new technologies and stuff like, oh, it's dangerous, it's going to kill us all, and AI robots are going to take over everything. But people thought that about the vacuum cleaner as well. I mean, it'll probably be positive, all positive. So,
okay, so you see what I mean? I feed off information like this because I'm regular. I don't understand technicals. I don't understand how to code. There's so much about Bitcoin that I don't understand. But what I do on a personal level is I follow these people, follow these podcasts. Sometimes I don't agree with the podcasters, but I'm interested in what these really clever people are saying about Bitcoin when the mainstream media are coming out with the FUD and the rubbish. That's why I follow these types of people. There is one more I want to run. I've never heard of this guy before, but this is well worth listening to. On this one, his Twitter handle is Croesus, I believe, Croesus. Listen to what he's got to say.
I want to talk about another article that you published.
By the way, you should be following Preston Pish. 251,000 followers. He has the most incredible podcast on YouTube. This is where I find these from. Whenever Preston Pish is on anyone's show, Andy Edstrom, I'm watching them. In fact, funny enough, I'm just reading right now Andy Edstrom's book, Why Buy Bitcoin. Really interesting, quite heavy. A lot of talk about financials, which I don't really understand, but I'm getting to the bit where he's talking about why buy Bitcoin. So Andy Edstrom, worth following. Preston Pish, definitely worth following. And this Cretius, again, let's hear what he's got to say.
And this was called, Am I Too Late for Bitcoin? There are tons of people that are out there that are looking at Bitcoin that don't know anything about finance in general. And they're looking at it and saying, well, I clearly can't buy that.
Right.
And they're saying, I missed that boat, but
Yep.
Dogecoin is 30 cents.
Right.
So I should probably buy a little bit of Doge. Talk to us about your article and then frame this up for that person who's saying that to themselves right now.
This is a thing that people get caught up on, where it's hard to draw a line about what constitutes meaningful adoption of Bitcoin. I've heard numbers like, there are 180 million people who have some amount of cryptocurrency, but that includes everybody, any tiny fractional amount that somebody forgot about, plaything money that, $5 here in Dogecoin. And I wouldn't call that meaningful adoption. Today, Newsweek said there's 46 million Americans with, I forget if they said Bitcoin or crypto, but it's a big number. I think it's not representative of meaningful adoption. I think that constitutes Americans that have thrown 20 bucks at Bitcoin in Robinhood,
So there's lots of people that are thrown just 10, 20 bucks at Bitcoin. They don't know where it is. They haven't treated it seriously. He'll come on to what he believes is a meaningful investment, but pay particular attention to the back end of this. Is only a couple of minutes, this one, where he starts talking about if, 2 billion people adopt BTC, what it means. Just pay attention.
And they haven't adopted it as an actual savings vehicle. So what would be like a reasonable threshold for a meaningful amount of savings in Bitcoin? And I just called it 0.1 Bitcoin, which is now $5,000. And so that's a meaningful amount of savings. Anything more than that is certainly meaningful. And there, you can see on chain, there are 3 million addresses with 0.1 Bitcoin in them. And of course, it's not quite apples to apples because a person can have multiple addresses above that threshold. But the bigger issue is that a lot of people just leave their Bitcoin on exchanges. So how many people are leaving, a meaningful amount of Bitcoin on exchanges and not taking self-custody? Probably a lot. Let's round that 3 million up to 10 million. So if we have 10 million meaningful adopters of Bitcoin, and there's 2.2 billion that will eventually adopt this savings technology, that
Did you notice his 2.2 billion will eventually adopt it? Maybe just over 25% of the world. I think, again, another valid point. As much as we feel everyone will adopt Bitcoin, they won't. He's talking of maybe 25% of the world ultimately will. I don't know. I haven't got a crystal ball. Nobody's got a crystal ball. I don't care what anybody on any channel says. None of us know how many people will adopt this or how it will look in a few decades from now. But we got to have some kind of yardstick to work to, haven't we? Which is, he's talking of maybe 25, 26% global adoption.
puts us at 0.5% penetration, 0.5% into the technology S-curve. That's really early.
So we're 0.5% into the S-curve. He's talking about the penetration, and he talks about 2 to 2.5% would be the innovators, just innovators. Never mind everything that comes after it.
Innovators stage in the classic bell curve. You got your innovators, your early adopters, then your mainstream. The innovators is the first 2.5%, I think. So for 2%, the early stages of the innovators stage still. It's crazy early.
That if that doesn't blow your mind about how early we are, then I don't know what the heck will. I can bang on twice a week on my show about how early we are, and you'd be forgiven for thinking, well, yeah, you're just Brian from the UK. You're a crazy Brit that's sounding off on your show. I'm trying this format because I want to bring some really good quality content creators, commentators, if you will, into my show. to show you that it's not just me. I'm doing the research. I'm watching these videos and learning, and what I'm finding interesting, I'm then bringing to you guys. That's what I'm trying to do. So don't listen to me, listen to what those guys are saying. And that just absolutely blows my mind. If you imagine that hockey stick, if you will, and all of a sudden the thing goes parabolic, we're not even halfway around the hockey stick at the bottom yet. So you're thinking you're early. If you've got Bitcoin already and we're only at the bottom curve of that hockey stick, what the heck is your Bitcoin going to look like when the hockey stick or the S curve goes right the way up and the masses start to come in? It is just, if this doesn't keep you awake at night with excitement, I don't know what will, people. It does me. Sometimes I don't go to sleep, particularly after one of our 21 million club meetups where we are, beating the drum about Bitcoin and sharing ideas and stuff. It's an absolute nightmare. Both Elaine and I can't sleep after our 21 million club. So, it is just the most exciting time to be alive, I feel. And all you've ever got to do is learn, get in the rabbit hole at your own pace. Don't let anybody rush you. Some want to go full in, some want to take it at their own pace, but at least get in that rabbit hole and do some research and get off of ground zero. That is so flipping important. Vinny Rondo, welcome, Vinny. Great to have you in the house. Proud Zionist Jew. Adam is with us. Great to have you with us as well, Adam. Okay, so let me see what else I've got going on over here to wrap the show up. I think, very, very quickly, if I can just shout out to Matt Underhill. I've got his book here. I've read it. It's a really terrific book for beginners, for giving away as a gift, a birthday gift, a Christmas gift, anything. A brilliant, easy read. What is Bitcoin? The beginner's guide to the future of finance, as it says there. Really, really, really awesome book. And that is it. I'm just going to leave you with my quote. I love quotes. This one's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it. Be very careful of people whose words don't match their actions. Adam Meister taught me this, actually. There are so many people that big it up. They talk it up, but their money is not where their mouth is. Now, the great thing about Bitcoin is none of us know whether somebody has got Bitcoin or if they haven't got Bitcoin. And I always say the only person's opinion that really, really matters, people, is the person that's staring back at you in the mirror before you go to bed after cleaning your teeth. That's the only person that matters. Are you true to you? Are you banging the drum about Bitcoin and you own Bitcoin and you are dollar cost averaging? Because I most definitely am. I want to come back, if I may, before we end the show. I love what Nut said about you can't stop an idea, his time has come. That's from Victor Hugo. The actual quote is nothing, not all the armies in the world can stop an idea whose time has come. People, nothing, not all the armies in the world can stop an idea whose time has come. And we are living right slap bang in the middle of the most disruptive, whatever you want to call it, that's ever taken place in the world. It is up there with the horse and cart versus the car, snail mail versus email, fire. Those things that shook and changed the world out of all recognition, and Bitcoin's going to be another one. A 1 in 10,000 year event, I've heard that mentioned. And if you are involved, if you are on this show right now, if you are finding this show within a few years of watching this show, you are right in the middle of that. And as Adam just said, one day closer to an all-time high, one day closer to where Bitcoin's going. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. It will always be that. You put £1 in the bank and in a decade, that pound will probably have lost 90% of its value. Maybe 100 years, 90% of its value. You put your money in and get 0.1 Bitcoin. In a decade, 5 decades, 1.1 Bitcoin will still be worth 0.1 Bitcoin. But we'll be dividing this in, working in sats. You'll be being paid your salary in Satoshis, buying cars with Satoshis, groceries with Satoshis. Now, again, no crystal ball. It might not happen, but it's certainly looking like it is all panning out as the early adopters said, even before I got in 2017. So, people, Just be blessed that you are in Bitcoin, because right now there is no more of an exciting place to be than in the Bitcoin space, I don't think. Ignore the poop coins. Ignore what anybody says about flippenings. That can do what it wants, but there's nothing out there that can ever do what Bitcoin has got the potential to do, and that is disrupt the world of money and become the hardest, soundest money you will ever come across. Bitcoin is where you should be putting your hard-earned money and then sitting on it, because that's going to protect your family's wealth for generations to come, people. Right, I said I may not be here on Thursday. I do have a procedure coming up on Friday. I have to prepare for it and do some things for the hospital on Thursday. So unless I get chance on Wednesday to throw something together as a premiere on Thursday, there won't be a show Thursday, but I'll be back on Monday. But look out on YouTube. I might get a bee in my bonnet on Wednesday and throw a 10 or 15 minute video together and put it out as a premiere on Thursday while I'm in hospital. We'll see where we go. I've been waiting for 8 months for this procedure, and whilst I don't want to do it, I'm not looking forward to it. It is something that needs doing, and I want to get it behind me to know that everything's okay. So people, thanks for being on. Please tweet this out. Please share the link with people you know that might show an interest in getting into Bitcoin. If you're on the podcast, again, share it there. Follow me on my social media platforms. I would ask if you would go back into the comments after the show and leave a one-liner comment, because it helps keep this relevant on YouTube so more people can find it. That is it. I may be here on Thursday. If not, I'll catch you all on Monday. I am Brian, the UK Bitcoin Master. Thanks for your support as always. Catch you all on Thursday/Monday. Cheers for now.